Without doubt, one of my favorite companies that make motorcycle gloves would be REVIT. Their output is impressive. They put out loads of different gloves, which actually makes it quite hard to choose your favorite, but at least you've got some options to choose from. So these are the new REVIT Chevak 2 GORE-TEX motorcycle gloves. They're available for £115 and they make them in a men's or women's version. They're a very simple looking pair of gloves, but they conceal quite a few different impressive details, which I'll get on to. And they're a great option for the winter. Yes, the riding season probably is extended beyond that, so autumn certainly, winter, quite a lot of winter in actual fact, because they've got some very clever insulation on these. And when I say clever, I just mean that it's able to get away with being slightly thinner, but provide the same level of warmth. We actually have some other options from REVIT if you want some comparisons. So on the table with me, I have the REVIT Waden, which are more affordable than these, but then they don't use GORE-TEX for their waterproof membrane. The REVIT Z waterproof membrane is used on these, and they haven't got quite the same level of insulation on them either, so they're not going to be quite as warm as the Chevak 2. It really depends on what sort of riding you're doing, what sort of distance, what sort of cold weather you're going to be exposed to. For me, personally, this would actually probably do me for the majority of winter. I am going to avoid those ridiculously cold days, so I'd quite like something like that. We've also got the Living Good over here, which are slightly more expensive, but again, they've got a slightly higher level of detail on them. I don't actually know exactly when we're going to be getting these in, but obviously when you see this video, the Chevak 2 will be out. The Waden we already have, definitely, and then the Living Good might be out around the same sort of time, but if it's not, obviously just keep your eyes open. There will be a review of those as well. Looking at the details then, these are a soft shell outer, at least to the back of your hand, and then on the palm of your hand they use goat skin leather, which is tough, it's hard wearing, it's flexible, it's a great choice for gloves. And it's also backed by a double layer PWR shield for reinforcement. These are of course CE approved. Continuing your reinforcement, you have C-Soft knuckle protection, which is flexible. I quite like that type of knuckle armor. So from the outside even, it is flexible and soft, and it will compress when you squeeze on it. You can't really see it from the outside either. It is quite subtly applied, and that's also backed by temper foam, and they've used temper foam as well on your palm protection. There are small sections of reflective material across it. You've got something to use a smart screen or a touch screen on your index finger and your thumb, and you have a cloth visor wiper. It has a longer cuff on these, certainly than the Waden. I tend to go for a shorter cuff because I find it easier to pair up with my jacket, but of course this one you would put on the outside over the top of your jacket, and it is Velcro adjusted around there. You've got two fasteners around there, so you've got this longer one and then one at the bottom there to stick over your sleeve. And you'll also notice emblazoned with the GORE-TEX logo, you have a pull tab that makes REVIT gloves so much easier to get on than some of their competitors. I love having a big loop on the bottom there to pull these on. For waterproofing, these use a GORE-TEX waterproof membrane. I personally don't really care too much about having the GORE-TEX name attached to my gloves. Sometimes it is nice to have. I think the argument for it now is still that it is slightly more breathable. I believe that is true, but I don't tend to struggle with my hands anyway when it comes to breathability. And obviously they go through stricter tests, so presumably it is more hard wearing and will last longer. But having said that, I've gotten on just fine with the REVIT Z-liner from REVIT in the past. Sizing on these will be accurate. I can say that with confidence because REVIT are very consistent when it comes to sizing on their gloves, and I get on with them very well. I would say with my winter gloves, I tend to go for a size up, but for an accurate size, I would be a size 9 hand. That puts me in a large on this occasion, and it will fit me just fine. If you want to double check our size guide, that's found online. One area that these gloves definitely have the edge on the Waden would be the insulation. So if you're looking for a dedicated winter glove that keep your hands just a little bit warmer, I would personally be going for these. Although having said that, they still feel around the same sort of thickness as the Waden. They use 3M thin sealant, 200 grams to the back of your hand, 80 grams to the palm, so a little bit thinner on the palm for extra feel, thicker on the back there for added insulation. They also use a high loft fur liner, which mimics the insulating properties of fur, so it traps in a pocket there around your hand, and is otherwise really, really comfortable to wear. Great winter option if you are looking. Like I say, they make these in a men's or women's fit, and you can find links to them in the description. Drop any comments you've got in the comments section. You can find the rest of their glove range in the description as well, and I will see you soon.